It's Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time again for another edition of Bandits Wrestling Weekly. I am your host, the one, the only, the second Irish Bandit, and wowie zowie do we have lots of news to get to today for this week in wrestling. So let's just get right into the headlines. First up, Bray Wyatt made his return to television this past week with a brand new gimmick that has really been divisive among the wrestling community. Some people are praising it, some people are hating it. I personally fall into the camp that is loving this gimmick. It is kind of a Mr. Rogers meets David Koresh type thing, where it's just has this wholesome look to it, but has this underlying creepiness to it. He came out on TV on Raw this past week with the Firefly Funhouse, where he came back saying how he was a bad man and how he was brutally tormented for his sins, but he always kept a reminder of his old self in the form of a cardboard cutout of himself in his old Bray Wyatt cult leader gimmick, where he was wearing these gloves on his hands. On his right hand said hurt, on his left hand said heal. Now he then turned this way to the camera, held the glove that said hurt to his head, pretend like it was talking to him, took out a chainsaw, and then sawed the cardboard cutout in half in a fantastic display. I said this on Twitter, and if you've seen the videos on YouTube, if this doesn't end up like something like "Don't hug me, I'm scared," I'm going to be severely disappointed. Now, there already may be rumors that this gimmick has already been canceled, given the last couple tweets that Bray Wyatt has sent out. On April 23rd, he sent out a tweet saying, "To see a ghost, you have to believe in it. It saddens me that you all missed so much. Oh well, maybe next time." Does that mean that the gimmick has already been canceled? And then the very next day he goes, "I love stockholders, and I love all of you. Hashtag Firefly Funhouse, hashtag I miss Roman, hashtag kayfabe, hashtag NFL Draft, hashtag baby shower, hashtag process over outcome, hashtag Abby the Witch," which has been one of the most debated things. Like, what was the name of the witch in that segment? Turns out it's Abby the Witch, according to Bray Wyatt. Hashtag Maestro, hashtag Indiana, hashtag Pex, hashtag Merch, hashtag Jason Baker. It kind of rambled on that from there on out. So the word is that stockholders and shareholders within the WWE are unsettled by this gimmick, and they want to see it removed. I want to see where it goes, because you can't just cancel this flat out and be like, "No, this never happened." Because if they played it the next night on SmackDown, and they're doing videos of superstars' reactions to this on the WWE YouTube page, I think they're going to keep going with this, as they should. Like I said, I am loving this. I think it is creepy. I think this can go so many ways. And there's so many subtle things. If you watch the promo, there are so many subtle things hidden in it. Like, what's the significance of the missing picture on the right? What's the significance of Mercy the Buzzard? Abby the Witch, I think, is a clear one. Sister Abigail. That's, to me, that's the clearest one. But maybe you can draw your own conclusions to it. I want to see where this goes. Like I said, I'm loving this, and I can't wait to see more of this. I hope they don't screw this up. This past Sunday, Dustin Reynolds, formerly known as Goldust, announced on his Facebook page and all forms of social media that he has been granted his release from the WWE. He also went on to announce that he will be facing his brother Cody at All Elite Wrestling's first pay-per-view event, Double or Nothing, this May. Now, there comes some news from this, because he just announced this on Sunday. But according to Wrestling News Source, Dustin Reynolds was reportedly let go from his WWE contract back on January 19th, despite keeping the news to himself and claiming he wasn't, because there was a lot of rumors going around that he was not with the WWE. He then put out a tweet on Twitter and all the social media saying, "Don't believe the BS, I'm still under contract with the WWE." Technically, I guess it would be correct considering he had a 90-day no-compete clause put in as he was leaving the company. In the latest edition of Wrestling Observer newsletter, it has been confirmed that Reynolds was let out of his contract on that date, and as all departing talent was given a 90-day no-compete clause that ended on April 19th. Vince McMahon was reportedly against letting Reynolds go, but Triple H was actually the one who talked him into it. He had been out of action for some time dealing with double knee surgery, and with his contract coming up, there was also belief he would end up in All Elite Wrestling with his brother Cody, of course. WWE did have the option of claiming back the 8 months he was out for surgery and adding on to his contract, but decided not to. Now, that kind of ties into another story we're going to talk about here in a second, but if I can just talk about Dustin Reynolds for a quick moment. I think Dustin Reynolds, I think the world of Dustin. I think he's a fantastic wrestler. He's been around for so long, has done so much. You know, he comes from that legacy of the Rhodes line. His father, Dusty Rhodes, his brother, Cody. I think him and Cody are going to do some great things in AEW together, and I wish nothing but the best for Dustin. He is, you know, I think it's time to put Goldust to rest, and he did exactly that on his social media. He put out this beautiful video of, he had a mannequin head all painted up with the Goldust paint. He just kind of, you know, put it to his head like that, put it gently into this chest, closed it up, and that was like the closing of the chapter. It was beautifully done, and if you have not seen it, you should go see it. It's on all of his social media, on his Twitter, on his Facebook page, and on his Instagram account. It's just beautifully done. And then he announced that he's going to be taking on Cody at the All Elite Wrestling pay-per-view Double or Nothing this May. I think that's going to be a great match. You know, Dustin's not a young man anymore. He's 50 years old, and he's basically spent a quarter of his life as the Goldust character in one form or another. He had a couple times, you know, he first came into the WWE as Goldust in 1995, went on to WCW, did that horrible 7 thing for like a cup of coffee, and then came on TV and, well, this gimmick sucks. He wasn't wrong. And then he went back to WWE as Goldust, left again, or was fired again, or something like that. And then went to TNA, which, you know, the less said the better. Even he won't talk about his TNA run, and I don't blame him. It was nothing spectacular. But we will always remember the name of Goldust. And we will always remember Dustin for his time in the WWE and just the legacy he has left. And he's a surefire Hall of Famer. Like, you cannot doubt that for 1 second. So, going on to another news story. We have an update surrounding Luke Harper, who asked for his release and put a big statement out on social media saying, "I've asked for my release. Thank you to the WWE Universe, friends, family, all that." Well, reports have come out this week that the WWE has denied his request. Not only that, they have tacked on an extra 6 months onto his contract because of the time that he was missing for wrist surgery after SummerSlam, which means he will not be eligible to let go from his contract until just before WrestleMania 36. Now, I think this is a savage move on the WWE's part. I don't know if they're doing this, I hope they see something in Luke Harper, because he is so underutilized. He is so good, and they just don't use him to his full potential. Like, I know a lot of people will just see this big, lumbering hillbilly of sorts, but I have seen Luke Harper when he was wrestling as Brody Lee in the Independents, and he was so good. For a big guy, you don't expect him to do the things he does, and hopefully WWE can utilize him and just not jerk him around for the next however many months he's going to be forced into his contract. Now, saying that, he could always take the CM Punk Neville route and just sit out his contract like another certain superstar is going to do, which we'll get into in a second here because we have some updates around that. But I would like to see the WWE utilize him. Like, actually use him for something and not just, have him work on main event or something like that, dark matches or things like that. Do something with the man. He is that good. You put the Intercontinental title on him in 2014 for a reason, or 2015 for a reason. No, 2014, yeah. Because that's when Sting came into the WWE. But either way, you had him as Intercontinental Champion for a reason, and I think he can do that again on one of the rosters. Be U.S. Champion, Intercontinental Champion. He might not make, Universal title or World title, but I think he can be an asset to the company if utilized correctly. And we do have a little bit of news concerning Sasha Banks, something we talked about last week. From everything that I have heard, WWE and Sasha Banks have reached a stalemate and cannot get past everything. And everything that I've heard says that Sasha is content just sitting out the rest of her contract. So, as I stated last week, they have her tentatively penciled in for Money in the Bank, but she has threatened not to show up. So that could put everything into a state of flux, but we'll have to see what happens from here. The Money in the Bank pay-per-view is taking shape after this week's Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. We have already got some huge matches on the horizon and one potential one. Let's just quickly run these down. Of course, you have the men's and the females' Money in the Bank ladder matches to determine the number one contender for both championships, or all championships, I guess. Universal, World, and both SmackDown Live and Raw Women's Championships, which will be defended on the same night. Universal Championship match has been made as Universal Champion Seth Rollins takes on AJ Styles, which is a dream match. I think they should have held off on this match till WrestleMania, but we're getting this match and it's going to be a doozy. Becky Lynch will be defending both her titles in the same night. She will be defending the Raw Women's Championship against Lacey Evans, and then she'll be defending the SmackDown Live Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. Again? Yeah, I know what you're saying. Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch again. I'm saying the exact same thing. They had lightning in a bottle, and they just decided to go with what they knew when they had Charlotte Flair take on Bayley for a championship opportunity. I think that this match has been done to death. They don't need to do it anymore. Charlotte Flair does not need another opportunity. I like Charlotte Flair, and I'm getting sick of her. Honestly and truthfully, that tells you how much I feel about this. I think there should be new opportunities for new females on the roster, because look at all the influx of talent that you had just last week with a superstar shakeup. Zelina Vega is back on SmackDown. Yeah, we'll get into that in a second here. Zelina Vega is back on SmackDown. Bayley's on SmackDown now. Kairi Sane's on SmackDown. You still have Asuka. You're doing nothing with her, other than the tag team with Kairi Sane being managed by Paige. That's a weird sentence. But you have so many talented females on this roster, and you keep going back to Charlotte Flair for some reason. Like, why? She's had her time. But other than that, I'm getting off on a tangent here. We had the seeds sown also for a major World Heavyweight Championship match at Money in the Bank. I'm calling it now Kofi Kingston versus Kevin Owens after the events of SmackDown Live. Now, last week we saw Kevin Owens say, "Hey, I want to be an honorary member of the New Day. I'm the Big O." Okay. I have a different... I call the Big O something else, but family show. So Kevin Owens did a great job with that, honestly and truthfully. He did the whole Big E entrance, and it seemed like he was going to be a fit. And then swerve. He turns on Kofi and Xavier and just beats the tar out of both of them on SmackDown. And I think this is going to set up for a championship match at Money in the Bank. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion, actually. But how this all came about was just wow. Because Daniel Bryan is out with an injury. It is undisclosed and being kept a closely guarded secret of what it is, which worries me so much. If they're keeping it this secret, automatically everybody's thinking, oh my god, he has another concussion. That's the thought. Now, it has been reported that I think Brad Shepard from the ODU Didn't Know podcast has said that it's not a concussion, but Dave Meltzer is reporting that, well, it's not really clear what it is. So you got to take everything with a grain of salt when it comes to like rumors and innuendo and things like that. So yeah, because of this, they had to change up a whole lot of plans, including Big E having to have his meniscus repaired, tongue twister. So the initial thought was, bring over Drew McIntyre from Monday Night Raw, keep Samoa Joe on. Finally, they just decided to go what was natural. Now, I think Kevin Owens is a great choice. I think this is going to be a wonderful feud, going to be a great match. Kevin Owens is just a natural heel. I know they were trying to get him over as a baby face. It was working. Like, don't get me wrong. The man gets cheered for being a bad guy, but they wanted him as this common man who has the same problems as the WWE universe. Bad booking, Viking experience. But oh wait, no, that's just the fans, not the common everyday man. I guess they were trying to give him over his new Dusty Rhodes. I guess. I don't know. I like Kevin Owens as a heel. He's just so naturally smarmy, and you just want to. But I love it. I think this is going to be a great match. It could be a fantastic pay-per-view. Aside from, as much as I complain about it, Becky and Charlotte do put on great matches. That's the one upside I see to this. As tired as I am of it, they're still going to have a great match. So I cannot wait for Money in the Bank. I think it's going to be a great pay-per-view. Some big news coming out of Starrcast 2 is that The Undertaker and Kurt Angle have canceled their appearances at the show. This comes because they have signed new contracts with the WWE, which has kind of left promoter Conrad Thompson in the lurch when it comes to Starrcast 2, because this, Undertaker for the first time doing an appearance like this, and now he had to pull out because of this new contract. And Vince McMahon himself did not want The Undertaker doing something like this. But at that time, it was believed that The Undertaker was not under contract with the WWE anymore, and he had pretty much retired. But those kind of went out the window this couple Mondays ago when The Undertaker attacked Elias on the Monday Raw after WrestleMania. So internally, the feeling is that there's no heat on Conrad Thompson, which is good. There shouldn't be any heat on Conrad Thompson. The man's just trying to, run a successful convention here. And, he's one of the biggest names in podcasting. He has the What Happened When podcast with Tony Schiavone, 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, and his signature podcast, Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, who we're going to see a lot less of those because of Bruce Pritchard's new schedule with the WWE, because he's back as one of Vince McMahon's creative heads, which I think is a great idea. Bruce Pritchard is such a creative guy, and it's great to see him back within a position within WWE. Maybe things will turn around for the company with this. But I think this is a huge blow to Starrcast, because a lot of people, I'm sure, were looking forward to actually seeing The Undertaker outside of a WWE setting, and now we're not going to get that. From what I've heard, they were able to replace The Undertaker with Mark Henry, which I think is a good choice. Mark Henry's been around for a long time and has seen a lot, done a lot, and I'm sure he will have some excellent stories to share on with the fans. Apparently, from what I've heard, Conrad Thompson said that for a replacement, he would have liked to have Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, or Triple H. Take 100% of the profits raised from those three, put it towards Connor's cure, and match it, and there's been no word from either Triple H, Vince McMahon, or Stephanie McMahon. So we'll have to see what comes of this, but I think this is something big. Finally, Raw's ratings are in, and it does not look good. Monday Night Raw's viewership wasn't that great this week, and there will be a real concern as it has dropped to the level of SmackDown Live's viewership. This week's episode scored 2.3 million viewers, down from last week's 2.66 million viewers. The viewership also wasn't steady, with some rather drastic drops at the show's progress. For the first hour, you saw 2.6 million. For the second hour, you saw $2 million. And then for the final hour, $2.1 million, which had AJ Styles and Baron Corbin fight for the opportunity of the Universal Championship match at Money in the Bank. Now, I'm not saying Baron Corbin is a problem, but if you're putting Baron Corbin in the main event and numbers drop by that much, maybe. No, I'm not saying it's him. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what the problem is with the ratings because they are just going down at a steady decline. So Vince McMahon and the company has to do something to bring the ratings back up, and what it is, we don't know. Like, maybe it's just general viewer dissatisfaction. I think with the introduction of AEW coming very, very soon, I think that's going to bolster interest in the product again. Because now WWE could have viable competition on their hands, with the backing of the Khan family putting so much money into AEW. And then you have Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega in positions of authority within AEW. I think they're going out and actively pursuing talent for the company. And when it comes to AEW, I don't want to see them just get a whole bunch of WWE cast-offs. Like, Sasha Banks, Dean Ambrose, Luke Harper, anybody who happens to be released, Ty Dillinger, who's released recently. They should bring up their own talent. Like, sure, bring in some WWE talent. Like not older, but released WWE talent. But don't make it like a huge part of your roster. From what I've been hearing is that the Turner Network is interested in AEW as long as they have recognizable names, which will determine which station they go on within the Turner family, be it TNT or TBS. Now, any longtime wrestling fans know Turner and wrestling kind of went together within the 80s. Ted Turner is a huge wrestling fan. I don't know if he still is to this day, and he knew that wrestling was a guaranteed ratings grabber, which is why wrestling was so predominantly featured in his TBS station back in the 80s. NWA was such a huge fixture. When he bought Crockett Promotions in 1988 and rebranded WCW, it just became massive to the point where for 83 straight weeks, thanks to the help of Eric Bischoff, WCW was beating WWF at the time every week for 83 straight weeks. So will AEW be the thing for the Turner networks? We're just going to have to wait and see in October when the AEW product finally airs, because right now everybody's making the joke, AEW is just a t-shirt manufacturing thing. There's no real, until there's a real card. Well, a real card is being fleshed out for Double or Nothing. We're going to get into that very, very soon on Wrestling Weekly, probably closer to when the event happens. But I do believe that AEW could be good for the wrestling business in general, because, a while back I did an Irish Bandit Revolution of what company could compete with the WWE. At that time, AEW wasn't even a gleam in Cody Rhodes' eyes. So maybe this will be the thing to kickstart a new Monday Night War. We're going to have to wait and see, but maybe this will help. Maybe this will help WWE's ratings, because they do have the move to Fox with SmackDown Live coming in October. And Fox, from the rumors that I've heard, Fox wants WWE's ratings to be at like 3 million viewers. And right now, SmackDown is only engaging 2.1 million, or something less than that, like around 2 million. The minute they reach under 2 million viewers, I think WWE is going to go into panic mode, if they're not already. So we're just going to have to wait and see how everything shapes up. All right, well, that'll do it for this week's episode of Wrestling Weekly. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Leave a comment down below on what you think the biggest wrestling news was this week. Don't forget to share this video. In the description, you can see a link to my Redbubble store. You can pick up all your Irish Bandit merchandise. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and tap that bell. You'll be notified whenever I go live with a new video. Take care, and I'll see you next week. And that has been a 3 count.